Hey y'all, let's talk about 5 times when cesarean deliveries are actually best for you. I'm Dr. Fatou Fona. I'm an OBGYN who works to keep pregnant women safe here in the US and around the world. I had talked recently or previously about why vaginal deliveries are the best. But we know that about 30 to 40%, well, maybe about 30% or so of deliveries in the US are cesarean sections. A cesarean section is when you make a cut in the abdomen and you deliver the baby. It's a surgical procedure. There are a number of good reasons why cesarean deliveries are performed, even though we know that vaginal deliveries are typically the best. Let me give a little bit of history about cesarean sections. Cesarean sections have been around since ancient times. They were typically done, when a mom died to remove the baby. Most of those babies were dead, but sometimes you would find a live baby. And even in the ancient Chinese, they have depictions of doing cesarean sections in live women. In the 1800s, the late 1800s, 1879, they observed people doing cesarean section in Uganda. It's been observed in Rwanda. So way back, they were doing C-sections. Now, it was supposedly invented in Rome in the 1600s, and it got the name Cesarean because of Caesar making it law that every dead woman, you should cut out the baby so they don't go to the grave with the baby. So, they say they invent everything. But we know it was being done by the ancient Chinese. It was being done in Africa, all of those things. Now, it was first done in the US in 1794 by actually a doctor who performed the C-section on his wife. But cesareans had very high mortality. Women would die after C-sections all of the way up until the 1920s or so, when they started controlling infection and bleeding and made it a very, very safe procedure. All right. So let's talk about the 5 times when you need to do a C-section and it's probably best for you to do a C-section. Number 1, when the labor stops progressing. There are times when, for whatever reason, the cervix stops dilating, the baby is stuck, refuses to come out for hours, even sometimes days. The only other way out is to do a C-section. The baby might be too big for the pelvis. Sometimes when the baby is breached and turned upside down, we typically do a C-section. So a cesarean section is life-saving in that, in this situation, because if you don't remove the baby, the mom and the baby could die. Number 2, to save the baby's lives. Cesarean deliveries have really decreased the risk of babies dying. Way back, prior to the 1900s, and even in the 1900s, specifically in 1900, about 30% of babies died before their first birthday. So in the US, babies died. 30% of them died before their first birthday. In 2021, we're less than 1%. Less than 1% of babies die before their first birthday. We do not tolerate babies dying anymore. It's something that we've been able to prevent by a lot of public health interventions. But one of those is making sure that babies don't die in labor. So when we monitor babies, if they're in distress, if they're stuck in the birth canal and not coming out, we will do a C-section for that. Now, babies still die in many countries around the world where people don't have access to C-sections, where if things are stuck, they stay stuck for days and the mom dies and the baby dies. But thankfully, that's not the case in the US. We have access to cesarean section. Number 3, to save the mom's life. It's necessary to do the C-section sometimes to save the mom's life. Moms could have heavy bleeding during labor where they're going to die if we don't do anything. They can have something called severe preeclampsia, a really bad form, sometimes where they have seizures, where they are deteriorating and their organs are shorting down. And if we don't stop the pregnancy by doing a C-section, the mom could die. So times when we need a quick delivery, the mom, something's happening to the mom, we need to do a quick delivery. That's a really good idea to do a C-section. Number 4, it might be best to do a C-section when you've had multiple cesarean sections. Multiple cesarean sections can increase the risk of something called a uterine rupture, where that uterus, where the baby is, that scar can pop open during labor with the strong contractions. Mom can die and baby can die. So typically, if you've had 1, maybe 2 C-sections, we encourage you to try to have the baby naturally if the conditions are right, vaginally. But if you've had more than those multiple cesarean sections, it's probably a good idea to do a repeat C-section. And then number 5, medical complications. There are some medical complications, heart conditions, infections like herpes or untreated HIV, placenta problems, where you need to do a C-section for safety of mom and baby. So Black women, not all C-sections are bad. Some of them actually save lives. It's a life-saving procedure. And sometimes we have to do them because at the end of the day, we want you to survive and thrive. All right, bye.